The hall pulsed with noise and gold. Laughter thundered against the timber beams, and torches spat smoke that curled around the scent of roasted boar. Alara sat at the farthest bench, her goblet untouched, her smile carefully stitched in place. Around her the feast was a storm, spilled mead slamming fists, the clang of mugs. Yet no one spoke to her. She was the southern offering, the forgotten promise of a peace no one wanted. A woman brushed past, muttering, "Poor thing. Doesn't even know she's been traded for goats." Laughter followed, sharp and cruel. Alara stared into her cup, watching her reflection ripple with every distant cheer. Then the heavy door slammed open. Wind screamed through the hall, snuffing candles in a single breath. A giant of a man stepped from the storm, hair like iron, shoulders broad enough to carry war itself. The room fell silent. His eyes locked on hers, startlingly blue, oddly calm amid the hush. He crossed the hall in deliberate strides, each step echoing. Without asking, he leaned close, his voice low and certain. "Act like you're with me." Before thought could catch breath, his arm wrapped around her shoulders. The crowd began to whisper again, but this time in awe. His arm was heavy, but his voice carried urgency beneath its calm. "Smile," he murmured, guiding her toward the firelit tables. "If they see fear, we're both dead." The words lodged in her throat like a blade. She forced a trembling grin as eyes followed them. Hungry, suspicious, waiting for a slip. "Who are you?" she whispered through clenched teeth. "Someone they'd rather not see alive," he said, raising a goblet in a mock toast. His smile was all teeth and danger. Beneath the table she felt his hand shake, not from nerves but pain. Blood darkened the edge of his sleeve. The chieftain at the head of the hall roared for another round. Alara pretended to laugh, her heart pounding. Every beat seemed to echo, "Run, run, run." He leaned closer, the scent of frost still clinging to him. "I need a way out. The gates open at dawn." "And you expect me to help?" "You already are." His smile didn't reach his eyes. She looked around the hall, the warriors, the flicker of steel, the endless night beyond the walls. She didn't know whether to feel trapped or chosen. When the crowd roared again, his whisper slipped through the noise. "Stay close, Southlander." The first scream shattered the laughter. A knife flashed across the firelight, striking the table where they had sat moments before. Rurik seized Alara's wrist and dragged her toward the door as shouts erupted behind them. The hall became a frenzy of movement, benches overturned, mead spilling like blood. Someone shouted his name, the sound thick with hatred. Outside, the cold hit like a fist. Snow whipped across their faces, and the night burned with urgency. "Keep low," he barked, pushing her ahead. Arrows hissed through the dark, biting into the timber walls. She stumbled, skirts heavy with frost, but his grip never loosened. "Why are they after you?" she gasped. "I stopped following orders," he said, voice ragged. "And they don't forgive that." They reached the frozen ridge, the glow of the hall flickering behind them. Rurik stumbled, an arrow jutting from his shoulder. Elara caught him before he fell, the heat of his blood searing her palms. "Leave me," he growled, forcing a weak laugh. "I've been left enough for one lifetime." Her words were steady, almost fierce. For the first time his eyes softened. "Then run with me." The forest swallowed them whole, the chase just beginning. Dawn crept slowly through the trees, turning the snow to silver. Smoke from the burned hall coiled far in the distance, a ghost of everything they had left behind. Rurik sat against a fallen log, pale but breathing, his cloak torn and darkened with blood. Elara crouched beside him, wrapping her shawl tighter around his shoulders. For the first time since she had arrived in the north, the silence did not feel cruel. "They'll come for us," she said softly. He gave a faint grin. "Let them. I've always wanted a fair chase." Despite herself, she laughed, a brittle, uncertain sound that melted into something real. She looked at him and saw not the outlaw, but the man who had turned toward danger so she wouldn't have to face it alone. The wind carried the faint echo of horns. Rurik pushed to his feet, unsteady but resolute. "We move east. The mountains will hide us." Elara took his offered hand. Her heart was still trembling, but it no longer beat in fear. As they vanished into the pale light, she thought of how strange fate could be, how sometimes being claimed in a lie could set a soul free. "If this story moved you," the voice inside whispered, "share it.